Nut Nerd Podcast, episode 277, A Ton Load of Money.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we're here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Hi.
Ah, there we go. Look at you. If you're on the video feed, while you hit that like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. Dave did appear from behind the digital curtain today.
Yes, the please stand by.
Yes.
Experiencing technical difficulties. It's
I like it.
I built up just for this event to show everyone my technical prowess.
Yes, indeed. Well, speaking of technical prowess, let's talk tech.
Let's do it.
Some follow-up. We've been talking about 5G. We both have phones with 5G now. Well, T-Mobile came out and announced that they now have 10 million 5G customers. So 10 million of their customers are on 5G devices, which I'm guessing most of them are iPhones, but there's plenty of Android phones now that have the 5G as well. And in the article, it was talking about how, this isn't crazy number to think about, but just the fact that T-Mobile's talking about it, because the cell carriers are usually a little tight-lipped about this type of thing.
Yeah, and I saw that Verizon on an ad said that they were the world's largest or the national largest 5G network, and I think T-Mobile's made the same claims in other ads, and so it's like, who's keeping track of this stuff? Like, is there any accountability on who's the largest or the best? I don't know. It's crazy.
It's one of those things. It's like furniture stores, and they're going out of business sale. They're always going out of business, and these claims of we're the best and the biggest, and we use the phrase just right so that it doesn't actually mean what you think it means.
Right.
But, well, speaking of Verizon, another one, they have now announced Yahoo Plus. So another streaming service with a plus at the end. And why they're going with the Yahoo name is so tired and tarnished. It just made me chuckle. I laughed out loud when I saw this headline, because of course they're doing. So Yahoo's been passed around from company to company. So Verizon Media Group, the media division within Verizon, has 3 million people that pay for subscriptions across its portfolio of Yahoo-related products, like Yahoo Fantasy, Yahoo Finance, and others, executives tell Axios. And so they will also be having, and they're doing so they've got a bunch of Yahoo Plus, the Yahoo Plus portfolio. So Fantasy Plus for fantasy sports, which is huge, Finance Plus, Mail Plus, Plus Protect, and then some video stuff as well, I guess. But and maybe it doesn't even. Maybe I just assumed, because it was talking about media, that the Yahoo Plus is a video service, but it doesn't look like it's even that. It's all these other things that they're just putting plus on the end of. So
it's kind of like Apple One, where there's just a bunch of services linked together, perhaps.
But yeah, if you're still using Yahoo, you might care about that. Anyways,
my wife still has a Yahoo email account that she hates, but she doesn't want to do the work to switch over to her Gmail account, which she also has. So who knows?
Man. Well, we got a little crypto watch. Elon Musk announced this week that you can now buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, which, with the volatility, could be the best decision of your life or the worst. You could have a Tesla that you way overpaid for, or a Tesla that you underpaid for, depending on what the Bitcoin price decides to do per day. And when you pull the trigger, it's again, we are both pretty risk adverse, and this just seems like a wild idea. But I am looking at the current Bitcoin price. It is at $55,000 $42.86. It did get over 60,000 for a while, and earlier this year it was down at 29,000. So,
and full disclosure, I do own some Bitcoin, and I'm actually upside down about $15.
oof.
So,
geez, don't let the wife know.
I want that price to go up.
Yes.
So I've been trying to day trade in Bitcoin by, getting just a small amount of money, and then when it goes down, buy it because it's so volatile.
Yeah.
And then when it hits a peak, sell it, and just kind of try to do that. It's so slow. It's the slowest way to make money.
Yes.
I make like $1 every 3 hours.
Yes.
It's not worth doing. But it's an experiment for me. So don't do what I'm doing. But just full disclosure that I play around with Bitcoin. So.
Yes. So some aspects of the holistic cost make sense for you in the experiment and getting to play with it, but the financial reward is probably not going to. But you never know. Again. Do not take financial advice from us. A lot of people have made a ton load of money off of Bitcoin, and a lot of people have lost a ton load of money. So
there's probably a 1-to-1 relationship there between the people who gain and lose. I'm not a math champion, Olympic decathlon like you are.
Yes.
But if somebody wins, somebody else has got to lose.
Yes, that is typically the case. But this is all digital, so this wealth, I can't go any further into it. I just can't. It makes my head hurt. But you know what does not make my head hurt? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Yes, and my Pro Tip of the Week probably is one of the more niche tips, and it's not going to apply to a lot of people. But if you, like me, have picked up a Kindle Fire device just when they're on sale for $6 or whatever they're going for these days, they're a very capable tablet for not a lot of money, but they're very slow. I will say that. And kind of prone to crashing as well.
Yes.
If you've got any desire at all to have a tablet of this size and any type of budget, you should get an iPad mini.
Yes.
But if you don't have a large budget and you just want to tool around, or you're a big fan of Amazon and the Kindle store, then the Kindle Fire is a great device. And what I wanted to show you today that you may or may not be aware of is you can actually learn to speed read, or actually use the tools to speed read a book. And I got a free book here the other day. It's The Dark Voyage by somebody. Anyway.
Good one.
Yeah. On the Kindle here, and I don't know how well it's going to show up on there. You can tap the screen if you've ever used a Kindle device before. Now, again, this will work on a Kindle Fire. I have tried it on the Kindle e-ink readers. Doesn't work. I've tried it on the Kindle app for my computer. It doesn't work.
Oh.
I've tried it on my Kindle app on my phone. It doesn't work. Your mileage may vary. I may just be dumb and don't know how to do it. So you've got your book on the screen, and if you tap anywhere, it'll bring up a menu. And of course, since this is Kindle, it takes a couple times and it's a little short. There we go. So there's my menu. Up in the upper right corner, there's 3 dots, and you tap the 3 dots, and there are a couple options in mine. It says shop in the Kindle store, share your progress, but the one you want to focus on is called Word Runner, and you tap Word Runner, and there are a couple controls that come up. The section of my book is highlighted, and then at the bottom, kind of a play head shows up, and then a scroll button to change the various speeds. And when you click play, it will start ramping up and show you one word at a time until it hits what I have set to 475 words per minute. I'm going to go ahead and crank that down to about 200 so that you guys can get an idea of what it's going to do here. So it says Chapter 1, September, North Sea, and then It's so fast I can't physically read it anymore. But it puts one word at a time in the middle of the screen and scrolls through those words very quickly. And you can go from 50 words a minute, which is, come on, anybody can do that, up to 900 words a minute.
Oh.
And for those of you watching at home, this is what 900 words a minute looks like.
Oh my goodness.
And what happens is you have to kind of train your brain. This works when you're speed reading on a document as well without a device. You have to train your brain not to sound out each word inside your mind like you're speaking it. You just have to get to a point to where you're seeing the word and understanding it faster than you could physically say the word or mentally say the word. And you can get to a point where you're reading large blocks of text just understanding it. Well, this works similarly in that when a word goes by, you're seeing the word and your brain is understanding it, but you're not saying the word in your mind. It's just the next word's coming, the next word's coming. So you can kind of get into this flow state where you're just consuming this information. And there was a book I was reading for work, and it wasn't that interesting. And I was about a third of the way through it. And so I sat down last week and just powered through it. And it must have taken me only about a half hour or so to finish out the rest of the book. Now, do I remember everything that was in the book? I would say my comprehension is actually pretty good for as quickly as I read it. But what it offers me is the opportunity to go back and read through it a second time with this speed reading methodology, and so that I might actually learn more than if I just would have read it slower the first time. So your mileage may vary, but if you've got a really cheap Kindle Fire device, you have a built-in avenue to learn how to do speed reading with WordRunner. So give it a try.
Interesting. I might have to fire mine up because I do have some Kindle books in there that I've gotten on sale or whatever, and like with physical books as well, I haven't gotten to reading them. I like listening to things, but yeah, I will definitely try that out. Thank you very much.
If only it worked with comic books, because
oh yes,
I'll get on a kick and I'll go buy 5 comic books at the comic book store, and they just sit, and then my pile is getting bigger and bigger. So
yes, probably not quite the enjoyment with comic books and speed reading.
No,
just the words. You lose a little bit on a comic book without the imagery.
That is correct.
Okay, well, on to our takes of the week. You found an article that says Instagram is most invasive app, new study shows.
Yes, and I don't think this surprises anybody, but
no.
Instagram is owned by Facebook. Oh, and guess which is number 2?
Facebook.
Yeah. This article, they just went through and they looked at all of the information that the applications pull from the user, whether it's your contact list, access to your camera, location, geo information, stuff like that. And apparently, Instagram is the one that's tracking you the most and knows the most about you. So that's probably why most people will say that the ads on Instagram are the most on point and most accurate, is because they're collecting the most information about you. So it's just it's good to know.
Yes, it is. I'm just going to throw this out there because it's been a while, but I will remind people that we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet. The story this last week that New York and their lovely governor, Andrew Cuomo, their perfect governor, they are launching a nation's first vaccine passports, and others are working on similar ideas. Now, this is an app or a QR code that you have that people will be able to look at and tell if you've been vaccinated from COVID-19 or have had a recent negative test, and basically give you a green good to go or a red X on whether you can enter a venue or an event or any of this stuff. Now, I have a few red flags with this on just a larger levels, but also what happens if it's not working? If you have some event at Madison Square Garden with 10,000 people trying to get in and the system, because our government technology systems are just so rock solid and it's just not working, do you just cancel the event? Privacy, just all of this stuff.
Well, what about fraud? Why can't I just copy someone else's code and go to the event?
That's a great point, and that's one of the things they're saying of why they think that these are a good idea, is that people could have a fake vaccination card, and it's like, well, yeah, and I can have a fake QR code on my phone, like I don't, and you can print this off, so
yeah,
I do not have a lot of faith. I mean, look at the track and trace systems that were supposedly going to be put in place and was the most important tool to fight COVID and are basically non-existent. I don't know that I think maybe one of the Asian countries, smaller ones, got something that was working and might have had an effect, but it's like, I don't know. And I think it's going to use AI to figure something out, or of course, because that's what you tell people.
Yeah, it's got AI and ML and
yes,
AGB and RGB built in.
Yes,
a bunch of acronyms that I don't know what mean.
And it is built on IBM's Digital Health Pass platform, which is something they've been working on. Oh, and it uses blockchain. That's what it was. It uses blockchain.
Okay, well, if it uses blockchain, I'm all for it.
Yes. Only if I get a non-fungible token with it.
Totally.
But yeah, I am leery of vaccine passports before you can do things on many levels. And I just don't know. But at least New York is giving it a try, and we'll see what happens.
I expect it to fail miserably.
Yes. The U.S. government, we fail miserably. Or the American government, different. This is a state level government. So New York, we fail miserably.
Right.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of AI, there was a report that came out that Apple has been the top acquirer of AI companies. So, as you can imagine, Apple and Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and another one, Accenture, are the top 5 that have been acquiring AI companies. And we've talked about this before, but it makes a lot of sense for them. Instead of them having to create a new department and try to figure out new technologies, they can just look at anybody out there that's developing technologies and say, we like what you're doing. We'll buy you.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe you and I need to start an AI company and we can sell it to Apple.
Oh,
that's our foot in the door.
Genius. So yeah, over the last, it looks like 4 or 5 years, Apple led the race with 25 acquisitions just in the AI space, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, how many artificial intelligence companies are there out there to be purchased? I mean, there must be hundreds, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm sure these won't be the last, but Apple is leading the pack and hopefully putting those companies to good use.
I hope so.
And we celebrated an anniversary. I don't know if you did anything to celebrate, but we should have gotten some champagne or something, Dave. This week, Mac OS X turned 20 years old.
Like Steve Jobs, I'm kind of not a very big anniversary type guy.
Yes.
Especially when it has nothing to do with me. So I just read the tweets that people were putting out and looked at some of the pictures, and I was like, great.
Yeah.
But it did put me in a mindset, because I do remember purchasing Mac OS X when it came out in a box with the disc and convincing my wife that I really needed to spend $100 or $120, whatever it was at the time.
119 seems to ring in my head.
I think it was 119. She's like, "Do we really need this?" And remember, this is 20 years ago money, so it was actually even more. And I was like, "Yeah, it's the wave of the future. We need this." So, and the computer I had at the time, which I think was a grape colored iMac, didn't run it very well. But
but it's come a long way in 20 years, and we no longer pay for the upgrades. We no longer have to get a DVD box copy, go to the store kind of stuff, and now it just happens all automatically. And I was using it.
For it.
That was right, like the year 2000s when I started really getting into Apple computers and made the switch from PC. So I used, did they call it OS 9?
Yeah, it was OS 9 before.
So I used that, and then I got to make the transition along, and then of course all the transitions and updates since then. So I have used all 20 or maybe it's a few less versions.
I have as well from the very, very beginning, and it was, I got to tell you, it was rough at the beginning.
Yes.
It was not great.
Yes, it was a big change in operating systems, and a lot of people probably weren't really aware of it at the time because Apple was still just kind of coming back with the iMacs, it works great now, and I like it more than Windows
I
for
do
sure.
Too.
Another interesting thing that I saw come up a couple places, iFixit actually did a profile on Podswap, and this is interesting. They take your AirPods and refurbish them, and you get a different pair. So they actually do it the right way, where they just send you the refurbished pair, somebody else's that they've done all this stuff to, replace the batteries to you, and then you ship yours back and they fix yours and do that. But there's a profile of these two college students, and they're using some robots, and they're able to replace those tiny batteries. And I was just talking to a friend of the show, Dylan, this week. His AirPods are about 2 years old, and they're getting to that weird don't like to connect, die randomly stage. And I said, but I am going to let him know about Podswap, because for $60, you're saving some money and saving some environment, I think. But
sure, anytime we can reuse and repair what we have, it's going to be better for the environment. And I have one single solitary AirPod up there that doesn't belong anywhere. I wonder if I could send it into these guys.
Actually, what am I talking about? I'm going to do this. I've got 3 pairs of old AirPods, one my wife's that we replaced, and then 2 of mine. I'm going to send those in and then I'll have 4 pairs of AirPods.
Holy cow, what are you doing sitting there collecting those things?
Jeez. I guess what I should do is I should pod swap them, and then I could sell them or give them to somebody, maybe somebody like Todd, or people that have not been able to get AirPods yet,
so
at a reduced price.
I did not read this article, but do they do more than just the battery? Because like in mine, the microphone's not working in one of mine, that one that's up there. And then I know that some people have impacted wax into the mesh of some, so they cannot hear.
Yes.
I wonder if they repair those things as well.
Yes. I'm seeing that it's mostly the batteries, but they do clean and sanitize things, so I'm guessing they wouldn't send you a pair where those didn't work, so I don't know if they just throw those ones away or what. But I'm going to take one of my pairs here, and I'm going to send it in for $60 and give it a try, and I'll let you guys know. I'm sitting here literally staring at old broken AirPods going, there's this great new service. And so I will try that out and report back. But a cool profile on these guys that just said, hey, this is a problem, let's fix it.
Well, that's great. And last point of order here, is the $60 for the entire unit or just one AirPod?
Oh, man, you're coming with the tough questions.
I am. The listeners want to know, Nate.
Yes. Let me take a look here and see. Swap now. I'm going to start the process. AirPods, swap first gen, swaps second gen, swap upgrade. So you have 3 options. So if I think all 3 a swap grade. I think all 3 of my pairs are the first generation. So if I want to go to the second generation, it goes up to $65. So that's pennies. I wonder if I could just sell them mine. Okay, so swap out your old ones. We ship you a pair of recycled AirPods with new battery life. You send us your old AirPods back in the same box. Charging case not included, so that's a good point. So you get 2 recycled AirPods, good as new battery life, fully sanitized and cleaned, free return shipping including 90-day warranty. So
how are they making any money on this? I'm curious.
That would be a very good question, but so I will check that out.
Give it a try.
I like it.
Nice.
I'm glad that I found that story to tell me about, and that I could have the realization while I'm telling everybody else about it that I should try it out.
One person out there was helped, and that person was you.
Yes. See, I even helped me tech better. That's how good this podcast has gotten.
That's amazing.
Yes. Well, our bonus odd take of the week, you found this, and the Louvre has gone online. So the museum in France.
Yes, this is one museum in a long line of others who are putting all their digital works or digital copies of their works online. Not to be confused with digital works like the works that Beeple does,
Yes,
the digital artist
NFTs.
who just sold, what is it, $62 million worth of NFTs.
Yes.
Anyway, the Louvre, they have digitized much of their collection and have put millions of pieces online for people like you and me to view at our leisure. You can download the pictures, you can look at the pictures, you can do whatever. It's great. It gives the reason I really like this and want to bring it up every time another museum does it is because it gives access to these works that people otherwise wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah.
Now, we're all familiar with the Mona Lisa, which is housed in the Louvre, and you could fly to France and you could look at it or whatever. That example, we had multiple copies that we could look at. I would prefer to see the Louvre's copy because it's probably going to be a very high resolution, well captured version of that. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of other renowned works of art that you probably won't even be able to find good examples online, or something that you've never even heard of before to even seek online. So this just gives people a lot of access. And maybe I'll, on our website, make a list of all the museums. We'll do a short article or something that are putting their works online. If you're kind of a art history buff like me and want to take a look at some of the works, it's just really cool. And again, gives everyone access. And when we have equal access to works of art and literature and just information, it helps those who are maybe in poverty or from a country where there's other challenges, financial challenges due to their economy or oppression or wars or whatever. It kind of helps level the playing field, and so I'm really into this type of stuff.
Yes, it is great. The good things on the internet, where it's helping, and they've got it might help to know some French when you look into the characteristics and the history and the location and the index. They've got a lot of information in there. Some of it is in English, but not all of the pieces, and you can select English or French on the website.
Well, the pro tip there, Nate, is that when you first visit the page, if you're using a Chrome-based browser, it will ask you if you want to install Google Translate or do a Google translation of this page. So there is kind of a workaround if you use Google Translate.
Good point. And you know what else are good points? Our picks of the week.
Yeah, so my pick of the week is for all of you iPhone, iPad owners out there. It is a game. I know that surprises a lot of you. Sometimes we have a lot of products, but we also have software.
Yes.
And I sure like my games.
Yes, you do.
And of the games I like, one of the games I like to play on my PlayStation original, my PS2, my PS3. Actually, I don't think they were for all these. For my Nintendo Switch, for other modern consoles. Of course, everybody knows I'm talking about Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, yes.
Now, there were some really ancient Crash Bandicoot racing games for iOS. I own both of them, and you have to have old hardware to run them. They will not run on new hardware.
Oh, interesting.
But let me introduce you to a new game, and it's very interesting that it's from a company that you know quite well, King. The developers of Candy Crush have come out with Crash Bandicoot on the Run. And this is, I'm just going to level with you. This is an endless runner. But so what makes it unique? Well, not much. Like most endless runners, it's just you run in 3 tracks and you try to avoid stuff. But this is skinned with Crash Bandicoot's characters, the boxes, the Wampa fruits, everything, the Aku Aku guy, and it's tailored to that. So, of course, arch rival Neocortex is throwing some type of weird beans into the land where Crash and his sister live, and he has to go and save the day, right? But anyway, it's super high polished. the aesthetics, the gameplay, everything is super polished and super fun to play. So if you're a fan of Temple Run or there's a Sonic one, there's pick a franchise.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a Pitfall one that came out. Tomb Raider has a version
Yeah,
that's
my daughter and I play Miraculous, which is
okay.
Ladybug. It's a
Oh,
French. It's
yes,
France Day on the podcast. A
it
French
is.
cartoon, and
Mm-hmm.
her and I play, mostly me play that one. But yeah,
Yes.
it's a very easy game type to just kind of put the characters in there, and
Mm-hmm.
but they are enjoyable. I like playing them.
Yeah. So a lot of the tropes from the platforming games that you find on modern consoles and older consoles are can be found in this. So it's a kind of a lot of fun. If you enjoy Crash Bandicoot and the games, then this is an easy download for you. You're going to enjoy it.
Very nice. Well, my pick of the week I actually heard about on a different podcast, and I think we've mentioned in the past the idea of a KVM switch,
Mm-hmm.
which is keyboard, video, mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Why they put them in that order, I have no idea.
And why is it keyboard video mouse? Why isn't it keyboard monitor mouse?
Yes.
KMM? Why
Yeah.
video?
It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Yeah.
But, anyways, I've had those physical devices. We worked for a company that used to have a product that was a very good KVM. But there is a new, or well, new to me application called KeyPad, which you can
Hmm.
install. It's available in the Mac App Store, and it's free to use it with one connected device, or I think $5 for multiple devices.
Hmm.
But what it does, it uses Bluetooth to become like my laptop becomes the keyboard and mouse. So it doesn't do the video part, but the keyboard and mouse for my other devices. So even my phone. So
Hmm.
I connected them via Bluetooth, and my phone's sitting, right next to me. I'm working on my laptop. I can pull down, I can connect, and I can actually control things on my phone with my laptop. So it's kind of I don't
I've
know.
never even heard of this app.
Yeah, I hadn't either, and I just heard about it this week. It was a pick on Mac Break Weekly, and so I went and got it right away, and have been playing around. It was a little jumpy. I need to, I think, tweak some things, but I bought the $5 version so I can connect it to anything I have with Bluetooth and control it. Apparently, so really, really an interesting little device. So you can type things on your phone from your keyboard. So you
Right.
could like be in notes or doing text messages. I mean, obviously on an Apple computer you can do text messages, and there's other
Mm-hmm.
ways to get text to your phone, but just a real fun little tool that I'm surprised that neither of us had heard about before.
So I have used applications for my Mac similar to that in the past because typically what will be happening is you have your laptop and maybe you have like a desktop computer like an iMac or something, and you've got your keyboard over here, you got your keyboard over here and your mouse over here, and you're just like, I wish I could just control that computer with this mouse. That's
Yes.
why the KVM switches are great. You can just switch back and forth, or some of them are intelligent enough to just know, I guess. But there have been a couple software solutions that over your internal network would do this,
Hmm.
where it would follow the mouse and keyboard around. Um, I had mixed results with that. There was
Yeah.
this one
Yeah.
particular one that would work, and then you'd update your software on one computer, and then it wouldn't work. And then they would release a version that was more compatible with more devices, then it would work again. And so, if you're trying to use an old computer with a program like that, they really don't work,
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
you have a new computer and an old computer because of the versions of software. But this sounds like it skirts that whole thing and is using Bluetooth. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm
Yeah.
mystified as to how it works, but I'm going to try it out and see if I can work to understand it, and maybe we can revisit it next week to see how
Yeah.
well it works.
Yeah. That was my pick. More is just letting people know about this as I try to figure it out, and then hopefully our hive mind can come up with some good use cases, or at least fun use cases for this application.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, and speaking of Hive purchases, which we weren't, our Ramazon pick of the week, or purchase of the week, we love it when you guys use our links and we get a little affiliate fee, and I get to look through that report and see what people are buying this week. Now, we actually own one of these. I don't know that my wife would have purchased another one of them, but this is the Ontel Starbelly Dreamlight Stuffed Animal Nightlight Pink and Purple Unicorn. Was this you,
Okay.
Dave?
I don't think it was me. Is this a stuffed animal or a light?
It's
There
both.
were so many words.
It's both. And if you'll remember back to our 5-year spectacular, at the end, the video of my daughter, this is actually the product, her product review on that video was this thing. And it's a really cool, you've got this, it's a stuffed animal unicorn, but in the belly there is a light that will do different patterns of stars and stuff on the sky.
Yeah.
So somebody else purchased one of these too. It has 4.5 stars on 14,489 reviews on Amazon,
Wow.
which is pretty impressive for a toy that, you know, is not like a major, it's not Ryan's World, it's not Pokemon. But Dave, what would you pay for the Ontel Starbelly Dreamlights?
Well, this thing is priceless. I mean, you just sent me a picture. This is a priceless piece of art. But I think that something like this, I think this is going to go, I have a number, but it might be low. I'm just going to say it anyway. This is going to be around $25. Am I low?
No, you are pretty dang close. $22.49.
Okay.
And list price is $29.99. So you are right there in the sweet spot. And I don't know what I think it was a gift that my daughter got, but it's a great little toy. You know, she's 4.5. So for the younger kids, and at nighttime she could turn on the lights and watch them go on the ceiling. And
that's fun. So
congratulations to whoever purchased that, and hopefully you're enjoying that. And maybe it was my wife, and I'll have it downstairs.
You'll have one in bed tonight.
Yes, exactly.
Look,
I
Nate,
got my own. You liked Isla's so much.
Right.
I got you your own. But anyways, that's about it for this episode of the Not Nerd Podcast. We thank you so much for listening, watching, talking about us, asking us questions. We got a very cryptic review in the Facebook group from Elliot about the Raycon wireless earbuds, which he had told us he was going to get those because he was done with AirPods. And he had said something to the effect of, don't do Raycons, stick with AirPods.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get some more of them out of that, and others that are posting stuff in there. And it's a great place to, we need to post more tech story type stuff. But if you have questions, any of that stuff, let us know, because we love talking about technology.
We love it.
We love it. So with that, thank you, and get out there and tech better. The 2-finger salute, is that like Boy Scouts? Or no, they do the... I feel like if I do the full hand, I'm either doing something I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I'm not military.
And I'm not military, so I feel like if I'm saying goodbye, I'll give the little 2-finger
I think
forehead.
That's the correct one. The 2 fingers just like...
casual.
Hey!
Yeah.
Yeah. But it probably in some language means F you.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
So.
I won't go to any place where they speak other languages.